Have you ever been introduced to someone and told, you're going to love this person, they are just like you? And so you meet them and you are hypercritical of everything they say and do to see what it is about them that reminds others of you. They may not look or act like you, but you try to find yourself in them, and sometimes you do. It's like looking in a mirror, maybe a very niche or specific mirror, depending on what you see, but in some way, you are in each other's demographic. When categorizing people, the most common factors are race, gender, age, and income. These are easiest because they are blatant. We can see them. Oh, you're young, you must like this, or, well, you're rich, you probably shop there. But the things that connect us are much deeper and more complicated than what we look like or how much money we make. Commonality can be found between interests. If you like a certain genre of music, you might like a specific movie. If you use this platform or went to school for this, worked here, you will have these experiences. Demographics can also transcend time. You can be the demographic for something made 50 years before you were born, or look back into your own past and not identify with anything about yourself because things change, you change, and demographics change. That is what we are going to be unpacking today on the Videocast, how we've been programmed to like what we like and be who we are. We will be looking at some of the different ways we are connected to each other, even without the same experience or living in the same time, and how we grow out of ourselves and move on to someone else. As always, I am your host, white male, 18 to 39, a lot closer to 39 at this point. Patreon.com/PicsandPortraits is how you can support us here. We have a new video over there right now looking at when I was the demographic, what that meant back in the mid-2000s. $5 gets you access to that and dozens of other videos, as well as my book, The Nostalgia Economy, and helps keep all this going, so please consider supporting us if you can. Now, we've been talking about demographics a lot lately, mostly through the lens of my own experience, and this is going to be heavy on that as well. Traditionally, my demographic has been very lucrative to advertisers. We discuss why in our video on how Burger King tapped into my demographic. With absurdity and edginess, this was the style at the time, and I want to start this video by building off of this because we're going to be talking about social programming and categorizing people. So off the bat, I'd like to address who they are, the ones doing this, the man behind the curtain, if you will. It's not singular. It's many different groups, companies. We are categorized with certain ideals or expectations of who we are or who we're supposed to be are assumed to nature. Obviously, we don't always identify with these attributes, reinforce social norms, but these are the boxes we get put in. From my experience, mostly my perceived identity has been used just to sell me stuff, a product, a service, subculture, ideology. There are numerous reasons and ways we are appealed to, but we are going to be focusing on our interests here, nostalgia, a lot of pop culture and advertising. Advertisers want us to see ourselves in their ads so we identify with their product. When we recognize ourselves, we form an attachment and hopefully we buy it because it's so us. Regardless of how ads reach us, be it a commercial break on television or targeted social media ad, we are seeing it because the people promoting it believe it's a good fit. Due to market studies or assumptions based off of things we've interacted with before, accounts we follow, or the show we're watching, if we like it, we might like what they're selling. People generally don't like it when you categorize them, especially with stereotypes or even archetypes, and sometimes it's pretty brutal what advertisers really think of you. Watching TV late at night, when I was younger, you used to see all sorts of infomercials for community colleges, spokespeople telling you to get your life going, you loser, do something, it's 3 a.m., why are you watching cartoons, get a life, get a career, give us money. This, along with a lot of ads for consumer debt solutions. You are up in the middle of the night, you must be directionless, in debt, broke. I am so grateful recordings were made, saved and uploaded, and that I can revisit this. I love watching old TV broadcasts, especially G4. Their shows revolved around tech, video games, and it's pretty shocking just how present the US military is in a lot of their programming. The streams I watch are from 2004-2005, during the War on Terror. G4's audience was full of young males, and certain shows have entire segments on the military, multiple commercials, shows sponsored by the military, Be All That You Can Be. Same thing with sports. For years, beer companies have sponsored sporting events, arenas. Once sports betting became legal, normalized, and extremely accessible, you can now bet from your phone. You get blasted with these ads every time you watch sports. It's like, if you like basketball, try gambling. Your buddy is doing it, He makes money and makes the games more fun. That's what these commercials suggest. It's addictive, it's easy, and it's very profitable. It's pretty wild being targeted like this. I'd like to pivot now to how demographics relate to time. I say this a lot, but time is weird. It's sometimes difficult to feel time, but a fun experiment. If you want to see or feel how old you are, watch something from the year you were born. Because of how much content media is available to us, you might even be able to see something from the month, week, or even the day you were born. News reports, TV broadcasts, pay attention to the aesthetics, because that's you. That's how old you are, but our interests aren't limited to when we were born. Sometimes people feel as though they're born outside of their time. They feel like they would have been a lot more comfortable in the Wild West, which is a bit of a fantasy, or the 1960s. They look back on these periods longingly, with nostalgia, despite never living in them. This phenomenon is known as anamoia. Two people, born half a century apart, can feel the same way about something. You can experience nostalgia for, say, classic rock because you listened to it in high school, whether that was in 1976 or 2010. Just because you didn't experience it when it was new doesn't mean you experience it any less or can't look back on it fondly. As we grow older and weave in and out of phases, different things resonate with us more. Currently, I am aging out of my big chill phase. My old friends are getting married, divorced, having kids, dying. This movie was made before I was born, but over the last few years, I've really identified with its themes. I'm in the process of drifting away from this demographic now, just like I've drifted away from others. When I was putting together that video that I plugged earlier, I spent a lot of time on the Wayback Machine, which I love. It's so great that so much of the old internet has been preserved. Old interfaces, websites, these are the ultimate ephemera. Just because of the nature of updating, obsolescence, forced or not, things stop working and data's lost. And yet, here I was, browsing Newgrounds, something awful, like it was 2005. This is what I was into when I was in high school, again, the mid-2000s. Browsing these old sites, you can click through like it is 2005, and you can get lost in it. It really feels like you're back, until you reach a dead link, and are reminded, that was 20 years ago, and this isn't who you are anymore. I can, and do, look back on these times and content fondly, despite not identifying with it much at all. Some of the things I thought were funny or believed back then are pretty embarrassing in hindsight, but that's normal. That's supposed to happen. That's growth. Anyway, let me know what you think. Are you comfortable in your demographic? Do you identify with all the things statistics say you should? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, share, and again, if you had the means, please consider supporting us on Patreon. You can also become a member here on YouTube, buy a book, everything helps. As always, thank you so much for your interest in this channel, and thanks for watching. See you in the future.